Hi friends, it's Linda. I am back with a flip through of my latest journal, and it is Edith Holden inspired full-size journal that I made from a Reader's Digest condensed book, and I am really excited to show it to you. I'm just thrilled with how it turned out, and it was so much fun to work on. And I covered the spine and just a little bit of the cover with this beautiful vintage tapestry, and used this sweet image. No idea where it came from. It was in my stash. The sweet little girl image and a Tim Holtz frame and just some collage elements. And I use a button and bead elasticized closure, which was inspired by Kathleen Maurer of Be Again Books. Kathleen inspires me more than I could ever say. Her style is just so beautiful, and I have learned so much from her. And I've made this style closure before, but not in a while, and I just thought it would be perfect for this journal. And this is a very vintage button from my collection. So let's get inside. It has 2 sewn in signatures. And let me get centered here. I used this beautiful handmade snippet that was made with all different kinds of laces as a front pocket, because I really wanted to use the original beginning cover pages of this book, because it was just so pretty and I just didn't have the heart to remove it or cover it. So I thought that was a beautiful compliment. And then tucked inside of this front cover, I made this little tiny Edith Holden journal. It's a little mini, and it has several pages. It's a little blank journal, so you could use it for quotes. You could use it for notes, just journaling a little weekend trip that you took, or just a little bit of personal journaling, gratitude journaling, or give it as a little gift. So it ties with this vintage lace, and I just have it tucked in this front cover. So this journal is a bit bulky, but I think if you end up removing a few of the little gift elements like this, it'll lay much more flat. Sorry. Okay, so that just is right inside of that cover there. And then I covered the spine, the inside of the spine, with this beautiful Kathy Holden button fabric that I just love. And this is a digital it was a digital freebie from AuntyMayz. So what I have is, I have used several digitals throughout this journal and some original Edith Holden pages. I will credit all of the digitals in the description box. So I have the Country Diary of an Edwardian Woman, and I used some of the pages to create some original pockets and a tag here. This also, it's an Edith Holden book page, but I also added some rub-on stickers as well, just to add a little bit more color and interest to it. Some coffee dyed paper. This is a page from some sort of an old book. I can't remember exactly what book it was. This is some dyed graph paper. And then I made this little doily pocket that's sewn into the signature. So there's a pocket on each side. And I added this sweet little tag. It was a freebie digital, and I thought it was in keeping with the theme of the Edwardian period. And And I love the elegant shape, and I put a little vintage flower applique on the top. This is a digital from PinkMonarchPrints, and I sewed this with some mulberry paper on the back side. Here's a pretty little textured page from a Your Creative Studio box that I thought was a perfect match. Some coffee dyed paper on my polka dotted pan. This is an image from a very vintage cookbook, and this is for Lady Baltimore cake, which I thought was really fun. Some dyed, coffee dyed loose leaf paper. This is some scrapbook paper, and then there's an envelope tuck here, and I just tucked in some pretty vintage writing paper and made a little cluster here from an Edith Holden book page and some vintage lace and a little embossed embellishment. And then this is an actual, I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. This is a envelope. So there is a vintage recipe card tucked into it. You can journal on the back, you can journal on this page, and then this flips out. Here are 2 handmade ephemera pieces. I believe my sister made this one. And this sweet little girl. And so there's 2 pockets on the front of this envelope. This pocket is also one that was inspired by Kathleen Maurer. So thank you, Kathleen. Okay, this is a vintage stationery page from Mary Engelbright, and some coffee stained tablet paper, avocado dyed paper, and there's a little pocket here. And there's just a couple of pieces of Tim Holtz, I'm sorry. Tim Holtz ephemera that I thought just matched beautifully with the theme. This is an original page from an Edith Holden book, and it's the page for June. I thought this would be just a beautiful summer, spring and summer journal. And here is the full book page. And then this avocado dyed piece folds out on this side, and I just tucked a couple of pieces of ephemera in this, but you could also do a whole lot of journaling in there as well. A little bit of washi here. A couple of short pages. This is some Kathy Holden fabric that I thought just matched the theme and the colors beautifully, and a little vintage applique and some vintage rickrack. And this is the back side of that old recipe book, and it's got the recipe for the Lord Baltimore cake. So it was the Lady Baltimore cake on the first page, the first side, and this is the Lord Baltimore cake. And here's the back side of the little short pages, and the mulberry sewn to this pretty digital, and the doily pocket with this sweet tag in there that kind of coordinates. It has a different image, but it coordinates with the tag in the other doily pocket. So we're to the back side of the pages in this signature. And then the last page in this first signature is a coordinating pocket. As you can see, we have this one and this one. So they're kind of facing each other and coordinating, but with different Edith Holden book pages. This is an Edith Holden page, but then I added this bird sticker to give it a little bit of added interest. And then this is between the signatures. And this digital is my sister's digital, and her Etsy shop is SouthCityHues. And again, all the digitals are credited in the description box. So this page, the inside of this signature pocket also coordinates with the inside of the last. And what I used is the text from an Edith Holden book, which I think is really so charming. I love the text in these books. And so in this pocket, I created this little fold out journal card. I'm sorry, I think I was out of frame. That I added a collage to. This is a jumbo index card. Some very vintage music paper, and I did reinforce the spine of the page with some washi tape. This is vellum, beautiful coordinating vellum that is from the Your Creative Studio, a Your Creative Studio box. Some vintage ledger. This is a page from an English garden embroidery book. So I thought that was just perfect for this Edith Holden themed journal. And on the back side it says Bumblebee and Ladybird. And so I found this note card to put into the signature, and I thought this, with the bumblebee, this was a perfect place to put that. On this back side is a multi-folded pocket, and I have all kinds of little sewing things in there. So I kind of was thinking that if this was Edith Holden's diary, that she might, diary or journal, that she might have some little sewing odds and ends tucked into there. So there's this vintage journal card of this girl darning a sock, and there's one pocket there, and then there's a pocket here as well. So I did not utilize all of the pockets with ephemera, so you can store even more items in there. This is one of my favorite little ephemera. I hope I was in frame. I apologize if I was not. This is one of my favorite little ephemera pieces, Grandma's button box, and I sewed some actual vintage mother of pearl shell buttons from my sewing jar on there. And then there's also a little wrapper from some vintage rickrack, which I just love to keep these. And this is some sort of a little tag receipt. It says tapes and trimmings. I thought that was a fun little bit of vintage ephemera. And this little tag here, which I think I got in some Happy Mail. And then I just put together this little cluster that I just think is so dear. It's got some very vintage fabric and just a little bit of some antique tatting and another little shell button. So I just thought that was a charming little thing to add there. And then here's some coffee dyed paper with a little pocket, and here is a little page from a vintage bird watching book. It's a little page from a tablet, and this is a page from a vintage gardening book, and this says Songbird and Hummingbird Gardens. And this page, this is probably my favorite spread in the book. This here is a digital pocket from PinkMonarchPrints. It's one of her super simples, and I will credit it in the description box. I sewed two little wooden buttons, painted wooden buttons, and then this just kind of, I do a little figure 8 closure, and this opens up, and let me make sure I'm in frame here. Yep. So there's a pocket over here that I just added a simple little blank tag, and then the center I added this lovely Tim Holtz lady and a little sentiment that says, "It is well with my soul," and there are two pretty garden digitals behind her that you can journal on. And I just love the way she stands. And then there's some pretty tickets over here that I just loved the colors, the bright colors. And then this right here is another pocket, this slanted pocket here. I don't have anything in there, but you could certainly tuck a little something else in there. So I just thought I really enjoyed this page and the little surprise of having that lady in there. And then this just closes in a figure 8 as many times as you want to wrap it around. You could even add a few beads to the tail or trim it off if you want to. And this is a garden digital that's also lined for journaling, and here's a lot of blank journaling space. This side is just some blank writing paper that I did a paper collage along the diameter with some coordinating papers. This is a photocopy of a sewing book that is from my collection, and I just thought it made a pretty page in here. And I did a little stenciling on the back. Here's another short that I thought matched the botanical theme. It's the back side of a piece from the Your Creative Studio box. Here is a little paper bag that I made this altered paper clip, and inside of here are some cottage garden actual flower seeds. And it will hold lots of journaling papers or other items in this bag as well. Here is another original Edith Holden book page, and this just beautiful 2-page spread here. And I did bead the signature ties. I think I forgot to show you the center of the signature ties, the beads on the first signature, but I will point those out in a minute. So here is the back side of that paper bag. It's got this really pretty large window sticker, and inside is the tea that I always include. Since my very first journal, I love to include a tea bag. And this one is Bigelow brand lavender chamomile tea. I thought it looked pretty with the colors of this journal and with the botanical theme. Sorry for reaching. Okay. And a couple of short pages, and here's a little snippet or a little cluster that I made on this page with a Edith Holden book page. And this is the back side of the little sewing book. The back side of the writing paper that I collaged with some coordinating papers. This is a fold out, lots of journaling space here. This is avocado dyed paper. The back side of the gardening book, and the back side of the little butterfly note paper. And then this is made from also an original Edith Holden book page, and it opens up for lots of journaling space. Just tucked into that pocket there. And then this is a vintage envelope. Oh, there's supposed to be something in there. So there's going to be a little surprise in this envelope tuck. Just forgot to slip it in there. And then this Tim Holtz Botanicals journal card. And then on the back side, I just tucked this pretty paint chip that says Haven is the color, and shaped like a home. I thought that was pretty. And I just tucked it in here, and I absolutely love the way the flap of this envelope decoration matches the colors in the back side of this needlepoint pattern here. I just love the way those colors worked out. Here is a fold out second side of the vintage ledger. The pretty Your Creative Studio vellum page that I think just picks up the colors beautifully. Vintage music. And then the very last page is the Edith Holden book page envelope, pocket. And it's about the nightingale. And so I had this British birds Ogden cigarette card. It's British birds and it's the nightingale. So I thought that was just such a fun element. I could not help but to add it to that page. And then here is a collaged journaling card that I made from a vintage index card. And I put the little E for Edith, and we'll just pretend that this is just a little image of Edith as a young girl. So that fits right in there. And then we're to the very last page, and this is a handmade envelope, and tucked inside is a letter from me. And I created a pocket with that same handmade snippet that I used for the front side pocket. I just think that's just beautiful. And that's it. I did not do anything to the back, but it is covered. This is the original cover of the Reader's Digest book, and that beautiful vintage tapestry. And here it is. So it's currently listed in my Etsy shop, Joyful Makes and Finds. You can find more information about it there. I did want to show you one last thing. I wanted to show you the special little touch that I added to the signature ties in the first signature. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a vintage cameo. And I was just down to the beading of the closure and of the signature ties yesterday. And my husband and I went out to a few estate sales. I just set my journal aside and I found this there. And it happens so much that whatever journal I'm working on, if I happen to go to an estate sale or something, I will always find something that is just perfect. So anyway, so I was so excited to add this pretty little cameo to the signature ties, and then I forgot to point it out. So these are the beads on the signature ties in the first signature of the book. So anyway, so as with all of my journals, you'll also receive an envelope filled with offcuts and little fabric samples and snippets and things that were left when I completed the journal. So this is it, my little Edith Holden inspired junk journal. And I thank you as always for taking a few minutes to spend with me. I appreciate every minute that you watch. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a like, leave me a comment, let me know something that you liked, and hopefully you got a good idea for a page. I thank Kathleen Maurer again for her ongoing inspiration, and you can see some of her inspiration. If you're a follower of Kathleen's, you'll see some of her inspiration throughout this journal. So anyway, that's all for now. I'm already at work on my next project, and I will see you again soon to show that to you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.